Okay, here we are. This is the Recoil starter, Briggs Stratton 796497, made in China. We don't like that, but we'll get American manufacturing back at some point. So here we are, starter recoil assembly, Briggs Stratton engine, which is typically on the TORO TimeMaster. And what happens with this one, I've put it on my machine a couple times. Notice the way it looks, because that's important, because some of them look a little different. So either way, flip it over here. What happens is these aren't wound that tight, or the spring isn't cocked really tight under here. So you pull this back, you start your machine, and then if you let go, you got a bunch of string here that wants to do something because it's not that tight. It's not that tightly coiled. So this string here might end up doing something like that while it's on your engine. So while it's on your engine, you can't see it, but something's already starting. And what's starting? Problem. So you pull it again. Start your machine, maybe. Maybe the string goes back into place. But maybe it doesn't. So either way, somehow a problem begins to brew. And then this gets worse. And it goes farther. And then it's on the shaft here underneath. And then you're not even able to pull it and get it going. It's just stuck. So now the whole top has to come off. Meaning 1, 2, 3, or 4 screws, however many you have, has to come off. So the goal here is, think about a simple solution on how to cock this so it is even better. So let's just get this back so we can see. So what we're going to do, pull all the string out. Just keep pulling. Get all your string out here. Till you get to that point. Where all the string's out. Now, get something like this tool. This handy dandy tool. Whoop-de-doo. Anything. Phillips head. But something that's thin and steel is probably best. Stick it in somewhere. Then you can let go of your string. Now what you can do, you can undo this knot, because we're going to give this a couple more turns to tighten that spring even tighter to make it more powerful. And that'll reduce the likelihood of a dangly string that comes out and comes off this wheel. So that's one way to do it. That's the way I was initially doing it. So that's great. Redo your string, but before you do, give this a couple more turns in that direction. That winds the spring up under here even better. But I found a new way, and the new way is, let this go back. The new way is, take your string out. Take all your string out here. Nothing's happening because you're not pulling on the spring. There it is. Whoop-de-doo. Now what you do, you're going to cock this even more, this spring even more. So you're just going to keep turning. We're winding up that spring. Oops. Anyway, we're winding up the spring. We're going to put full tension on it. Again, don't let your string wind also. Just keep turning. Hold it with a thumb maybe. Keep turning counterclockwise. Make sure your string's not getting wound on the wheel. Keep going. We're going to keep going until this spring cannot be cocked any physically more without breaking the thing. Because I don't believe when these were manufactured, they wound up this spring fully. It's got a little bit more. It's got 1 or 2 turns to make it even stronger. So, this typically doesn't happen, but we're going to get this out. But all we're doing is winding up the spring a couple more turns than whoever at the assembly factory wound it. So holding it with your thumb or a finger should be best. Now we're getting to that point. We're there. No, we're not there. Now we're there. So now that you're there, now let the string wind on the wheel. Now this spring is as powerful as it can be. So when this is on your machine, which is like that, that spring is as powerful as it can be. So maybe it's a hair more tension. There is more tension to pull it back, but that's not what you care about. You make sure that underneath this string does not come off this wheel and make it inoperable. Then you have to take the top off. You have to rewind it again. You want it at full power. Full power. No chance of slack in the string. Because when this thing has a little slack, the string on here has a little bit of slack. And all you need is a little bit of slack, and that happens underneath. That happens. Because that'll get worse. You might be lucky enough where that happens and it gets back on, but you would still have the slack. So it would still reoccur. It would get to be something like this. And that could be something like that. Once you get to that point, you're probably screwed. This is off so far enough that when you pull this, you get like, now it's caught on that. And you can't even make that happen. Already, this whole thing has to come off. This top has to come off. You have to expose it like this. And you have to put it back in place. And if you think that solves the problem, no. The problem is not enough tension on this rope because there wasn't enough tension when this was wound at the factory. They didn't want to wind it further, 1 or 2 turns. So now this one's at full tension. It can't be any more tense than that because I couldn't turn that anymore. So that's that. Because I bought about 8 of these off Amazon. The company is LTAP, otherwise known as LTA Cool. That's the Amazon store info. So let's just get one more. Anyway, this isn't important, this part right now, but all of them are wound. This is one that I gave up on because this was on the machine. And finally, I just got annoyed with all the lack of slack. Annoyed with all the slack that this was giving me. So we'll take this one, which I took off the machine because it was so slack, and I got tired of this string coming off the wheel. So what we're going to do is take all the string out. I'm going to see if I can, as you can see, this one is limp here. So we're going to take all the string out. Again, there's a million ways to do this. Here's the best way. All the strings out. Now, we're going to give it a couple more turns. And this is cocking the spring even more. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, it wound up. So, yeah, this is what will happen on your machine once that string starts coming off the wheel. You're gonna get one of those kind of effects. So, we're avoiding that by cocking the spring extra. So, let's get the string out. And again, once we let go of this string, it's going to want to wind clockwise, but we want it to be able to be more powerful. So we have to go counterclockwise. And while I'm doing that, I don't want this string to really wrap on the wheel. So let's give it some slack from the pull end. There we go. Now we're going to wrap it, and then we're going to take the excess off the wheel. See, it keeps winding on the wheel for some reason. We have to get in here. We have to get right in this slot. to pull this out so it doesn't wind on the wheel while we cock the spring so it's more powerful. There we go. That was very important. So now that that's out, I can counterclockwise this way, counterclockwise without the string wrapping on the wheel. So I'm putting more tension in the spring. There we go. Try to figure out what your string is doing. Make sure it's not wrapping around your wheel. I didn't plan this one, but I wanted to take a random one that had a slack issue and see what may be involved for people. So, getting the string off the wheel. There we go. Back to here. So keep going counterclockwise. Don't let this, there we go, it's getting tighter. You're going to go and kind of, yeah, we're there. We're very close. And there goes the spring inside. So I wound that way too tight. I pushed it way too more. I should have stopped there. We had a lot going. The spring is still inside. It's still got tension. So all we're going to do is just continue that process. Counterclockwise, building tension in the spring. All right, now. So that keeps happening. What's on the inside is a plastic thing with a little hook, and the spring has a hook. And that's what the spring holds on to while you cock it so it doesn't keep coming off. So we may have broken that. See, that keeps making a sound. So it's basically saying, hey man, you broke that, you wound it too tight, and we're not going to let you wind anymore. So before I say goodbye to this one as a functioning unit, I'm going to wind it. So again, what you can do is just say, I don't want to deal with the string. So instead of dealing with the string being in my way, you simply undo the knot that the factory put in, and then your string's completely out of the way, which is what we're going to do right now. We'll see if this unit is shot, because the little hook on the inside is gonzo and might have broke. Either way, string's out of the way. So now, wind it counterclockwise. It's getting tighter. There's no number of turns at all. It's just a feel. But you can see how it keeps. Like you try to put tension and something else is giving on the inside. So if I take this screw off, we're going to see that the coil spring on the inside lost its ability to hold on to that hook. That probably snapped. So this one's gonzo. This was a nice little demonstration. The string is good. The handle's good. You might use this for another unit if the string rubs on something like this. Because if you're looking right here, that metal ring, that can wear out over time, or it can become loose and fall off. Before you know it, string is rubbing on plastic, which may have an edge. And now all of a sudden this string gets frayed and breaks. Now it's nice to have a full length, perfect string with a nice handle that's already done. So that is great. Also inside of here, there are components. So we're not going to talk about the components. There's a couple of little things that come out and engage with the top of your engine. We're not going to talk about that now, but those are great components to keep. They have a spring and a spring, and those can be broken or lost. These two little white things can break and wear out over time. So if you have a unit that has a problem, there's a lot of great components, like this screw, like this cap here, this black top here. This will bend over time and warp, and now all of a sudden you wish you had just another good one like that. So if you take this screw off, you take this top plate off, now you have something that if you do that, this is going to fall off and the spring inside is going to go flying. You don't want to do that. So this isn't about that. This is about winding this tighter. All right, this unit's shot. I don't know if I'll salvage any parts. So just hang here right now. Let me just get another box. This is my last one here. It is used, possibly. Yes, it is used. Let's take another go at it. This one, not too limp. Why I don't use this anymore, I don't remember. But again, it's probably a slack issue. So the spring has powerful tension. Springs can wear out over time and be less powerful, reducing your tension and, of course, creating slack. But if you give it another 1 or 2 full turns, it'll increase its power and bring it back near normal. So that's what we're going to do right now. I could try to take out the string and do that way, but I won't because we'd like to finish this video. So we're going to take out the string as much as possible. We're going to try, see if you notice here, the gap between the wheel and this plastic edge is very small. So this unit will never have an issue with the string coming out of here like the other unit. This unit's design, look at the gap here. Look at the gap. It's a big gap here. And with the reduced slack, this damn string wants to fall out all the time. Bad design. This is Briggs & Stratton. Bad design. That gap sucks. Right here, nearly no gap. That string will almost never come out of there and cause you a problem. The only problem this one had is probably slack. It just got slack. I don't remember. This is used for some reason. Everything seems decently functioning. I don't know why I took this off my machine. Not important. I might have got this off a used machine. Either way, this one we have to probably take off the string and then give it a couple turns to create slack. We can't take that off now because it's got a bunch of tension on it. So we're just pulling out the string. String's in pretty good condition, but if you notice by the handle, fraying. That's going to last, you know, for another few hundred pulls. Then you might have an issue. Why is it fraying? Don't know. There's a little metal insert in here. So don't know why this frayed a little. No big deal. Might have got caught on something on the mower. So what you do here to take off your string, because again, it's always on tension. The spring always wants to pull it and creates tension. Stick a tool in there. This one's great. I don't know what I call this, but not many people can find this pick. Very good kind of pick here. Craftsman, which is relatively out of business. Now your string has a nice amount of slack there. Find a way to get at it, and there we go. We can use scissors to cut this. We may have to, but let's see if we can undo this knot. Don't think so. So our goal here is to get a couple extra turns and then put the string in here. Or let it wind around the loop. Around the wheel. But see, as we do that, the string is wrapping around the wheel. So we don't really gain anything here. Because they're tied together. The wheel, the amount of turns of string on it, and the tension. We're trying to go this way without actually adding to the wheel. We don't have a gap really that we can get this string out. Now, if you had 2 tools, one to hold the wheel, and then one to deal with popping this string out, so it doesn't wrap the wheel, that would be great. So we'll see if I can hold it with my thumb and pop out the string here. There may be just enough to do that. I don't see anything on the machine that there's a little gap here. You can warp the outer plastic, so that's awesome. So let's do that. We'll warp the plastic here, creating a gap, and then of course we get out our string. Here we go. Not fun. Oh, let's see here. This is probably where we can edit at some point, but right now we're just getting some nice content. So I push the string that way, it goes that way. Fine, you're being a jerky string. There we go. The gap's there, the string's there. That's annoying, but there's just not enough of something. Space. The string doesn't have enough movement. We're close though. The hell was that? Oh, okay. Knocking over everything. There we go. Let's go, string. What's your problem? You're wedged. There we go. That was not easy, but hey, man, the miracle of plastic, the give it has. So let's give ourselves some little extra here. Let's maintain this little loop here. Let's just double check we're going in the right direction. We have to go counterclockwise without allowing the loop to gather on the wheel. So here we go. Now, this is just going by feel. Doesn't seem like the string is going onto the wheel. We want this to pass this. There we go. So I'm just going to go one turn. Like right now it feels like the spring's going to skip on that hook on the spring and the plastic under here. There's a hook. Actually, if we look right here is that spring. You looking here? This is the spring right here, this rusty thing. Anyway, that's what it is. You'll see it on your unit. It's the spring here, and this is where it hooks onto. There's another location under here where the spring hooks onto the plastic as well. So there's two hooks there. This one never breaks. It's the one inside that may break if you try to over tension it. Right now we're trying to increase tension without breaking it. We don't care. I'm going to take a risk. There we go. We've increased it by one full turn. I like that. That feels great right there. Now we're going to pull on the handle side of the string, getting rid of this loop that we love. Here's our loop. So here's the big loop. Let's reduce that loop. Say bye-bye to the loop. There we go. Now when this spring starts adding string to the wheel, we've already increased tension by one full turn on that spring. So it's going to take up the string on its own. Awesome. Again, I have a little fray here. The goal wasn't to deal with any string replacement, but we added that one full. Guess what? No more dangly string. That is gone. Let's give it a pull. Seems great. It's not perfect. We could have went one more turn possibly, but we would have took a risk that the spring and the plastic break. So either way, remember it was hanging by like that on this, right? I believe so. Now no more hanging. It almost goes all the way in on its own. Let's see if it'll defy gravity. Yeah. It'll be like this on the machine. Pretty good. The spring, as you notice when it comes back, it did something like that. It hit and then did like that. That answers the question where the fray has been coming from. When it comes back, you pull it back. This has some weight, the handle, so it does this with the string, and then that happens. So it's rubbing on some plastic edging. As you can see, there's some wear. So that solves the mystery of the frayed string. It's here. There's no real way to solve that. The only way is when you pull your string, you come up at an angle. But even when you release, the weight of this drops down, and then it has a come up effect, like that. We're not here to talk about that, but the slack has disappeared. We didn't have to remove the string. Using the loop method, pop this out, make your wind 1 or 2, let the loop go away, and then allow the string to start going as you release the wheel. All right, so that's that. That's how to deal with these. Thank you. Any questions, call me, subscribe, and kiss my ass. Goodbye.